Hi everyone, it's Liam here from Rating the Races. So in this video we're going to do something a little bit different. We are going to look back at Cheltenham 2024, looking at horses that maybe caught my eye, and especially that have caught my eye in terms of how they've been campaigned this season. So we're going to start off from a horse who ran in the Arkle last year, and that is Master Chewy. Now, he fell in the Arkle. When he was actually moving into contention to just get behind the front few. I think Gaelic Warrior, Founder 50 were both there. Il Était Temps was coming down the outside. Sneaking in behind was Master Chewy. And he was definitely going to get involved. He wasn't going to beat Gaelic Warrior, but he may well have pushed the others. Founder 50, Il Était Temps. I definitely think he would have gone past Matata. And I feel that he justified that or demonstrated that next time out when he went from falling in the Arkle to then finishing second in the Grade 1 at Aintree. Now, he was only beaten neck ahead that day. And you can see he actually traded 1.28 in the run. He travelled really well. Hit the front, pushed along and battled. He really battled and found plenty for pressure. Even at the last, he jumped in, kind of back into the lead and went forward, and you thought, yeah, he's going to win this. Before Founder 50 found just enough towards the finish to get up, which you can see we were obviously pleased with, as he was our nap of the day that day. Now, I thought it was a really good effort, and I feel that this was the difference in terms of this season. Master Chewy, for me, has to be aimed at the handicap, the Grand Annual, not the Champion Chase. He's not going to win a Champion Chase. He's been beaten all 3 runs this season. He actually hasn't won since winning a Grade 2 back at Kempton in 2023. He's not going to win a Champion Chase, so why run him in that? They might run him in the Grand Annual, though, and I think that would give him a great chance. Particularly, he's got a few form lines that are really good. His comeback effort wasn't bad when he was 4th behind Martator. Now, he went off favourite that day at Ascot. He ran a really good race. He was only beaten 3.5 lengths. May have needed the run. They then stepped him up in class and they went for the Tingle Creek, and he fell in that at the 6th, I think it was, before then coming back just a week later for this race, the handicap at Cheltenham. Now, I kind of feel that his fall potentially left a bit of a mark. It was, he had at least run, and he wouldn't have been fully fit still. That would have taken a little bit out of him, that fall at Sandown. He still ran really well for 3rd. He still went off the 5-2 favourite. He went off 5-2 favourite alongside Isideri, who is definitely one to keep an eye out for going forward. And they were both beaten by Liberty Hunter. Now, Liberty Hunter on that day was getting £10 from Master Chewy. When they'd raced off levels back here at Aintree, Master Chewy had comfortably beaten Liberty Hunter. Okay, come Cheltenham in the Grand Annual, as it stands, they wouldn't be running off levels. They would be running with Master Chewy having to give £2 to Liberty Hunter. I don't think that would be enough for Liberty Hunter to reverse that form. I feel that Master Chewy would beat Liberty Hunter, and that's quite interesting considering Liberty Hunter is currently favourite for the Grand Annual, having finished 2nd in it last year, whereas Master Chewy was all the way down here at 20s and 16s. I don't think 16s is a bad price for him. If he runs, in my opinion, he'll go off single figures. And why would he not run here? Why would you waste him running in the Champion Chase against, better horses, John Bon, and he's not going to beat John Bon. He's not going to beat Energumene. He's not going to beat Gaelic Warrior. Why would you waste him and run around for 4th or 5th there? Whereas you could actually try and win this race. With that in mind, maybe the 20s is better price for him, because surely he's going to run in the Grand Annual. I feel that the fact that they've gone twice into handicap company this season, at Ascot and at Cheltenham, demonstrates that they feel he's a very good handicapper. If they felt he was a top-class Grade 1 horse, they would have been in 3 consecutive Grade 1 races. They haven't. They've entered him in 2 handicaps. I'm sure he'll be running in the Grand Annual. And to be honest, I think he'll run a really big race, to be fair. His effort, as I said, in the Arkle last year was a lot better than it looked. He was coming there to start getting involved. If he gets round this season in the Grand Annual, I think he will run a really nice race. The second horse that I want to talk about is the Goffer, who comes from the Ultima. Now, some of his form is very good. Look at this. 4th in the Ultima behind Correct Rambler, Fast or Slow, Mon Big Genius. That reads really well. That was on soft going. Last year, they ran on, I think they actually ran on heavy. They did. They ran on heavy when he was 5th behind Chianti Classico, Twig, Meetingofthewaters, Famous Bridge. Good performance. Finished 5th. Actually went off the 9-2 favourite. Travelled really well. As they turned into the straight, he just emptied. He didn't get 3 mile 1 again on heavy going. This season, his form has been a little bit indifferent. He's not particularly performed that well. You can see he's finished 13th for Aintree in the Grand National. That was last season. He then pulled up at Punchestown. And then this year, or this season, 10th, pulled up 7th. One of those being in a cross-country race at Cheltenham. He's never going to stay that far. But the crucial thing here is he's dropped significantly in the weights. Last year, when he was running at Cheltenham in the Ultima, he went off 147. He ran off 147. The year before, when he was 4th, he ran off 149. He's now only rated 136. Surely that gives him a massive chance wherever he runs. I think it will be the Ultima again as well. And you to go off 10-1 and 6-1, 10-1 and 9-2, come to the Ultima for a significantly lower weight, isn't he going to go off a much shorter price in the Ultima? Let's have a look at what price he currently is. We're looking for the Goffer. Mr. Coffee, close, not the right one. Where is he? Where is he? Down here, look at this. You can get 50-1 about him for a horse who's gone off 10-1 and 9-2 and maybe just not quite got home. Even with that in mind, what are they doing? They're only doing 25s, 5 places. As soon as you can get 5 places about it, and if you can get if you can get like 50-1, he would have finished in the top 5 the last 2 years. He's also significantly lower in the handicap. He's not old. He's only 8. It's not like he's a 11-year-old coming back for his 3rd time and, probably past it. I think he could be very, very interesting for the old teamer at a massive price on better going. If the ground isn't soft, if say it comes up good to soft in places, I think he would have a massive chance in this race, to be honest. I do also think he might run in this race here, the O'Driscoll's Irish Whiskey Leopardstown Handicap Chase. This is over 2 mile 5. This would be key, ideal. If he runs there, I'll be backing him there as well. If he doesn't, if he disappoints but still runs at Cheltenham and the ground is better, he would definitely interest me in the Ultima. Next horse I want to talk about is also from the Ultima, Twig. So Twig did get home last year. He finished 2nd behind Chianti Classico, which in hindsight was probably a very good performance. Finished 2nd. Chianti Classico was winning that off a mark of 143. He then won again off a mark of 152. So a £9 higher mark, and he was still good enough to win that at Ascot. And was last seen rated 157. So £14 higher. Twig isn't £14 higher now. Twig is currently £3 higher. And it's been very interestingly campaigned, as you can see. So, after finishing 2nd in the Ultima, they went to Aintree for a handicap over 3 mile. Maybe his effort at Cheltenham just left a little bit because he didn't quite get home that day. Finished 5th. Still ran a really good race. Only beaten 10 lengths at Aintree. Maybe he'd left all his effort at Cheltenham. And interestingly, the vet said the gelding showed signs of post-race ataxia. This season, look what he's come back and done. Hurdles, hurdles, hurdles. 3 runs over hurdles. They are looking after his mark, aren't they? If they went to Aintree thinking we'll win this at Aintree, and then the post-race ataxia was the cause of him disappointing, and they've got, I can't believe we got beat there. They might be coming back to Cheltenham going, we'll win the Ultima this year, off just a £3 higher mark. They've clearly looked after him, haven't they? 3 runs over hurdles this season. He's not going to be running at Cheltenham over hurdles. He's going to be going back over fences. And I'm sure he'll be back in this Ultima. Again, similar to the Goffer, he's quite a big price. Or he is a big price. Let's find him. Twig. 25s and 33s. 25 to 1, non-runner, no bet. Looks a massive price, to be honest. He went off 28s last year. He finished second. If he turns up this year, especially the way he's been campaigned, people will look at that and go, hang on a second. He's run over hurdles, over hurdles, over hurdles. They've looked after him. They've looked after his handicap mark. He will go off 14s, 12 to 1 sort of thing for the Ultima. Looks very interesting, Twig. And the third one that caught my eye from that same race is Meetingofthewaters, who finished third, went off 6 to 1, rated 147. He's only rated 148 now. Now, the key for this horse is he finished third, maybe didn't quite want that really heavy going. Travelled into it really well. He traded even money in the run, if I remember rightly. Let's just have a look, see if I can find it. He did. He traded even money in the run. Really strongly travelled. Just didn't quite get home. Maybe lacked a little bit of experience. Was still working his way up to that sort of trip. And I feel they kind of demonstrated that he does stay that far next time by running in the Grand National, where he ran well. He finished 7th, beaten 16 lengths, but ran a nice race for Willie Mullins. I thought his comeback run was very interesting, on the basis that, considering he finished 3rd in a Ultima and then 7th in a Grand National, he returned at Leopardstown. Look at the price he went off. 30 on the exchanges, 20 to 1 at the bookies. He wasn't there to run a race at all, was he? He was there. They were looking after him. I'm convinced they were looking after that horse. Now, he could well be going back for that race that I've mentioned for the Goffer, the O'Driscoll's Irish Whiskey Leopardstown Handicap Steeplechase. Could be well where they go, or they might end up running, or they could do both, back in the Ultima. Off a £1 higher mark, I'd give him a massive chance. It all came down to what happened at Leopardstown. But considering he went off 6s last year, surely he's going to be 10s at most. And if we have a look, you can see that you can get 20 to 1, non-runner, no bet. I think that's a big price. I think he goes off single figures if he runs. And I think he runs another big race. And if the ground isn't quite as testing, maybe he'll get home this time. And maybe Mark Walsh also knows how to ride him a bit better, considering that was his first attempt for a little while on the horse. And maybe they'll go, you don't need to be as patient, or you can be a little bit more confident on the horse. So that's Meetingofthewaters, who also ran in the Ultima, that looks to have been aimed at returning to Leopardstown and Cheltenham. Moving on to Shanbally Kid, who finished 3rd in the Coral Cup. Now, there's a couple of things that caught my eye about Shanbally Kid. First of all, he was 3rd in the Coral Cup behind Langadan and Ballyadam. Both of those are graded horses. And that came off the back of Shanbally Kid not having had that many runs. You can see that he'd only had, 5 runs over hurdles. Well, that was his 5th run over hurdles. And he was taking on seasoned campaigners in Ballyadam and Langadan. Back in 4th that day was Lucky Place, who's since won a Grade 2. Or is it even the Grade 1? No, it is a Grade 2, the Rail Kill, isn't it? Just having a look. It is indeed a Grade 2. He's since won 2 races, including the Grade 2 Rail Kill at Cheltenham. Ballyadam, Langadan, we know what they'll be aimed at. Ballyadam will be coming back to this race. Has won since, actually, over fence, in a hurdles race. And ended up going to Sandown for a Grade 2 after that. He'll be back for this race, I'm sure. But Langadan will be running in the stayers. I don't know whether he can win, because I think it might be just stretching his stamina a bit. But anyway, back to Shanbally Kid. Finished 3rd, rated 134. He's currently rated 135. Now, has been over fences now 4 times, which is very interesting. And I feel the last 2, as you can see, dropping back to 2 mile. Considering they tried him over 3, They dropped him back to 2 mile over fences. They've not been trying the last 2 runs. They've been trying to get a handicap mark for him. And they've actually got one now. And it's low. It's 125. Is there a race at the Dublin Racing Festival that he can win first? He's definitely one to keep an eye out for. And that novice handicap chase is something that I'll be very interested in with Shanbally Kid. I think that Coral Cup form is really strong form. And although he's not yet shown it over fences, it wouldn't surprise me if he popped up towards the end of the season now at Leopardstown, Cheltenham, and potentially at Aintree in this handicaps, and then at Punchestown in a handicap, and demonstrating that he's actually quite well handicapped on his hurdles form. So that's Shanbally Kid. Definitely keep an eye out for him in the novice handicap chase. Next horse that's definitely caught my eye is Zanahiyr. Now, the feeling I have for Zanahiyr is this year he will finally be running in a handicap at the Cheltenham Festival. What do I mean by that? Well, let's have a look. In 2024, he finished 4th in the Grade 1 Turners behind Grey Dawning, Ginny's Destiny and Jello. In 2023, he finished 3rd in the Champion Hurdle, Grade 1. In 2022, he finished 3rd in the Champion Hurdle. And in 2021, he finished 4th in a Triumph Hurdle. Now, you initially think, well, he's going to be old then, isn't he? But remember, he was running in a Triumph Hurdle. So that means he's only 8 years old now. So he's only 8. He's been to 4 consecutive Cheltenham Festivals, 4 times in graded races, and 4 really good runs. Surely he's got to go in the handicap this time. The plate. The festival plate. We'll look at his runs, including that effort when a good 4th last year at Cheltenham. He then went to Fairyhouse for a Grade 1, the Willow Warm Gold Cup, and he got well beaten by Spillane's Tower. Who else was in that race? Better horses than what he would take on. Tactical Move, Blood Destiny, the Company Sergeant. This season, he returned at Galway, finished 3rd to Pinkerton, only beaten a length. That was a good effort. He then finished 2nd to C'est La Vie, trying to give away loads of weight at Tremor, as I said. They then stepped him up to 3 mile, and that didn't work. He didn't stay, I don't think. He was also beaten by Flooring Porter, and if you actually take Flooring Porter and Horance Duderi out the race, the others are a lot closer behind. I don't think Zanahiyr quite got home that day. And the race has worked out all right already, to be honest, with Percival Legalois, who finished 6th, coming out and winning. And I feel that dropping back in trip is what they need. But after running so many races in July, August and September and getting his mark to come back, start to come back down, they then switched him to hurdles in November. Wasn't good enough for that. Grade 2, beaten by Home by the Lee, Bob Ollinger and Eagle Fang. Watch him come back up over fences now at Cheltenham, potentially in the plate. His handicap mark is 149. Well, last year when he actually turned up at Cheltenham for the Grade 1 Turners, he was rated 150. And I feel that he ran to about that. He could certainly be interesting if he turns up in the handicap rather than the Grade 1 this time. There's no point running him in the Ryanair. He's not going to win a Ryanair. Just the form A isn't good enough. And B, there's other horses in the Ryanair that are just going to be too good for him. But if he turns up in that handicap, Zanahiyr is definitely one I'll be interested in. And let's have a look to see what price you can get about him at the moment. Let's have a look. Trusted Trader Plate. Zanahiyr. Let's have a look. Where is he? Zanahiyr. 20 to 1, 25 to 1. I mean, he went off 8.5 to 1 for the Grade 1. He went off 66s for a Champion Hurdle. Okay, that was a Champion Hurdle. 28s for a Champion Hurdle. And 11 to 8 favourite for the Triumph. I think he could. If they drop him into a handicap, he could be very, very interesting in that handicap. That is Zanahiyr. So we keep going on, and we go to the next. You can see all of these races that Zanahiyr is running and performed with such credit. Next horse that definitely caught my eye, and I'm not just saying this because I've been a fan of this horse for a little while. It's Milos. Milos actually travelled quite well at Cheltenham. You can see that he's shortened by 58.37%. from his 10.85 starting price. Let's have a look, see what he traded. Now, last season was all about getting him qualified for the Pertemps final and getting him to the Pertemps with a big chance. And he did. He came there off a mark of 142. Looked like he had every chance. He went off 6-1. He went off 6-1. And traded in the run. That's the wrong race. This was the beginning of the season when he ran an eye-catching race. What did he trade? Where is he? Cheltenham. There it is. He didn't trade as short. He still ran quite nicely just behind the main protagonist. But he's a chaser, Milos. He's a chaser without a doubt. And his best performance of his career came when running at Newbury, winning a Coral Gold Cup. 142 grand for the winner. They beat Remastered, Jericho Roke and Corrick Rambler. Really good performance. He won that off a mark of 146. He's rated 139 now over fences. He's dropped significantly in the weights. Now, that came at Newbury over 3 mile 2. What on earth is he therefore doing in his last 2 runs over 2 mile 6 and 2 mile 3? He's getting shorter in the trip. That's going the wrong way, not the right way. That's going the wrong way. He should be going up in trip, sticking at 3 mile 1. And actually, if you watch his comeback run at Cheltenham in October, he ran well for a long way. And I kind of feel they went, yeah, we've got a horse there for the old teamer. We can get him dropped a few pounds. They've actually got him dropped £8 for that. I think it was a really good race anyway. Senior Chief, the short guy, Broadway boy, and Does He Know? Milos was bang there, just got tired late on. Probably needed the run, but has dropped significantly in the weight since then. Whichever race Milos goes to, I will be backing him. It could be the Ultima. It could also be the Kim Muir now because they can get in the Kim Muir. So let's have a look at those 2 races. What price can you get about Milos? So, Milos, 33-1 or 25s, non-runner, no bet. Considering he went off 6s last year for the Pertemps final, and when he won the Coral Gold Cup, he went off 9-2. The Ladbroke Gold Cup, sorry. He went off 9-2. 25s is still probably a big price. But does he run in this, or does he end up in the Kim Muir? If he ran in the Kim Muir, what price would he be? Or what price is he currently? Keep going down. Where is he? Milos. You can get 25-1 about him there. Non-runner, no bet. Whichever race he runs in, he's going to go off much shorter, in my opinion. If he runs in either of those 2 races, he would have a big chance. The Kim Muir or the Ultima would suit him perfectly. He'd be back over the correct trip, and he would be very well handicapped. If he doesn't run, you get your money back at 25s. If he does run, I think he'll go off 12s, 10s. He might even be subject to a massive gamble and go off something like he did last year where he went off 6-1 for the Pertemps final. He is a chaser. He is well handicapped. He travelled quite nicely in the Pertemps final, just didn't pick up when he was asked, and he's a much better chaser. So he's interesting for sure. That's Milos. We move on to, who's our next one we're going to look at? It's going to be this horse here, Crebilly. Now, Crebilly ran in the plate last year. I finished 2nd, ran a really good race, kind of hung away his chance a bit. I feel he threw it away, but still ran a really good race for 2nd behind Shake 'em Up Harry, who had been somewhat supported himself. But we've got to remember, Crebilly went off 7-2 for this race. Since then, has he run in the right race? So I feel the right race is a 2.5 mile handicap chase. No. He went up to 3 miles for Aintree, didn't stay. He then returned 2.5 mile over hurdles. He was never trying there, was he? And then recently ran at Windsor in a handicap over 2 mile when comfortably beaten by Matata and Unexpected Party. Now, he just wants 2.5 mile and he wants to go back to Cheltenham. As soon as he goes back to Cheltenham and he gets 2.5 mile, surely he's going to run a big race. When he finished 2nd, he was rated 140. He's only rated 142 now. He's only £2 higher than when finishing 2nd at the Cheltenham Festival. I mean, it looks obvious that he will be coming back for the plate. And you would expect to see him here. But he's a little bit further down than I thought he'd be. At 16s, 12s and 10s. I mean, if you can get 16s about him, he went off 7-2 last year and finished second. He's definitely going to be running here. He's not going to be running in the Grand Annual, and he's not going to be running in the Old Teamer. He's going to be running in the 2.5. It's kind of you're backing him that he doesn't get injured. And if he doesn't get injured in that period from now, you know, he ran on just 2 days ago, between now and March, he won't go off 16s, he'll go off single figures. That is Crebilly, and he's going to have a really big chance there. Similar to Crebilly, Excelsis Deo was also a big eye catcher in the plate. Now, I kind of feel they've done something a little bit different with this horse. After he was a massive eye catcher in the plate when he jumped terribly out the back, but absolutely rattled home for a never near a fifth, they came back out at Cheltenham a few weeks later. This was him finishing fifth for the Silver Trophy, and they won. And they won it quite comfortably. They won by 4 3/4 lengths, going away, off a mark of 137, and they went, damn it, we've missed our chance there. We should have been winning stroke going very close in the plate. This season has been all about the plate. He's been so well beaten, it's beyond his it's been exaggerated how well beaten he's been. He pulled up at Galway, he unseated at Cheltenham, he finished last at Cheltenham. Over the course and distance that I want him to be running in, he finished last. And then dropped to hurdles recently. So they, again, another one they're looking after. They did it with Crebilly. They looked after him by running him over the wrong trip. And they're looking after Excelsis Deo now that he's dropped significantly back in the handicap. He's only £2 higher than when he was a never near a fifth. He's only £2 higher than when he was a comfortable winner in the April race at Cheltenham. They'll be coming here again, I'm sure. And I think they will run a massive race this time. And they're going to get a better price about him because of the way he's been campaigned. Rather than Crebilly, who they've kind of kept cleverly just ticking over, they've got an Excelsis Deo to come back down the handicap on the basis that we should have gone much closer at Cheltenham in 2024. We know he can win off just a little bit lower handicap. We think he'll go really well again. What price is Excelsis Deo for this race? Considering we've got Crebilly up here, I thought Excelsis Deo would be not too far below. But he's much further than he should be. Much further than he should be. Is he not even in it? I must have missed him. There he is. Sorry, I did miss him. I'm sure I'd seen him. 16s and 20s. 20 to 1, non-runner, no bet, or 25 to 1. The only reason you might want to take non-runner, no bet is they might go, he's so badly out of form, it's not worth wasting him, if he's actually out of form. If he's just been ridden to deliberately, you know, they've not got him anywhere near fit yet, and March is all that it's about, then 25 is a great price. If it's not, if he is actually just running terribly, the 20s non-runner no bet might be the way to go for an Excelsis Deo. But I think both of those for JP McManus are going to go really well in that race. That is Crebilly and Excelsis Deo. Next horse I want to talk about is, we keep going, there's not too many more to go, Git Maker. This one's really caught my eye when I was going through the videos of last year's races. Git Maker finished second. Git Maker finished second behind I Know The Way You're Thinking. Now, I Know The Way You're Thinking is a grade 1 horse, isn't he? Okay, he might not be the best grade 1 horse, but he is a grade 1 horse. And Git Maker finished second, ran a really good race for a long way, just couldn't go with I Know The Way You're Thinking after the last. Now, was that a fluke? Because he went off 28 to 1, massive price, must have been a fluke. No. Next time out, he went to the Scottish Grand National and he finished third. Ran a really good race to finish third, surrounded by Willie Mullins horses and Surrey Quest, who demonstrated that he'd been, you know, he was in really good form, Surrey Quest. So what has Git Maker done this season? You then look at one run in January, a couple of days ago, over hurdles. Well, that wasn't his plan, was it? You know, then no way did they go, oh, we could win a race over hurdles then. You've just finished second in a Kim Muir and third in a Scottish National. You are not targeting anything over hurdles with him. I think they're coming back for the Kim Muir, aren't they? When he finished second to I Know the Way, you're thinking he was rated 132. He's now rated 133. He's gone up £1 for being beaten by a Grade 1 horse. Surely he's got to go really close. And interestingly, Bet365 have just cut him to 33s. But you can still get 25s. You can still get 20s non-runner no bet if you wanted that. I would be shocked if Git Maker didn't turn back up in this race. Why would he not turn back up in this race? The Kim Muir. You finished second in it the year before, beaten by a Grade 1 horse. Okay, there might be something at the head of the market that could be a Grade 1 horse. Now is the hour, or maybe Johnny Who. But for these connections, the Sheep as a Lamb Syndicate, I don't think they're going to waste an opportunity to have another Cheltenham runner. And I think they will turn up here. I think they'll go really well. Yes, he went off 28s last year, and maybe because of connections, Jamie Snowden, Sheep as a Lamb Syndicate, maybe Gavin Sheehan keeps the ride. He might not be really well supported and thought of as being quite nicely handicapped or anything, but he's definitely one that you need to keep an eye out for. And if you could get something like 33s everywhere in the near future, he would be one that I'd be certainly interested in for the Kim Muir. We do also like Milos, as we've mentioned. I think both of those will run big races if they turned up in that Kim Muir. Where are we going next? Kargese. I've mentioned Kargese before. County Hurdle. Second at Cheltenham in the Triumph. Actually led Mansborough for a long way. Second at Aintree, beaten by Sergino. Sergino could be one of these superstars, to be honest. Kargese had no chance of beating Sergino. Has then come out and beat Bottler's Secret at Punchestown in a Grade 1. And then maybe needed the run, beaten by Take No Chances at Ascot recently. Rated 141. I honestly think that horse is absolutely thrown in for a county hurdle. Don't go for the mares. Go for the county, and Kargese would win that, in my opinion, and would win it quite cosily. If that horse doesn't run, one that is very interesting for it, and at a much bigger price, let's have a look at the county hurdle. Here it is. Kargese is up near the top. Here, 14s, 10s, non-runner, no bet. I mean, I actually don't think, if you've got spare change at William Hill, 10 to 1, non-runner, no bet about Kargese, because if she goes there, I think she goes off a really short price favourite and wins, and if she doesn't run there, then you get your money back. I think that is a really good example of where the non-runner, no bet does work in your favour. So, okay, Kargese doesn't run. Who could take advantage? Tell you what, there is one that is at a big price. Let's just scroll down and find him, and then I'll explain why. Pied Piper at 33 to 1. Why Pied Piper? Let's have a look at his Cheltenham form. 29th of January, he ran at Cheltenham 2022, and he beat Mocha Devassi and Forever William in a juvenile hurdle Grade 2 trial. He then went to Cheltenham for the Triumph. Finished third behind Vauban and Phil Dorr. Good effort. He then came for the Masterson's Holding Hurdle and won. He then came back for a county hurdle in 2023. Finished second to Favois. Traded 1.3 in the run. And then last year he finished third in the county hurdle. Beaten by the Ebor winner. In front of an Ebor winner. Behind Lo Desud, who is going to demonstrate that he was a graded horse that just bumped into one in the county hurdle last year. I think that is top quality form, and Pied Piper has the Cheltenham form. He's just brilliant at Cheltenham, isn't he, Pied Piper? What has he done this season? So that's always key to have a look at. Where is he? Ran a few times in the summer. You can see that he went onto the flat at Ascot and then to Galway before returning for a hurdle race at Punchestown when falling. Now, that just means to me that as long as he's okay, because we haven't seen him since October, it just meant he didn't win a race, go up in the handicap. Actually, if he turned up at Cheltenham, currently he's £3 lower than when he was third, behind an E-ball winner, in front of an E-ball winner, and second to Lo Dessoud, who's since won a Grade 1 novice chase, I think, and is like second or third favourite for the Arkle. That was really, really good form from Pied Piper. He's done it time and time again at Cheltenham. Second in it off 154, third in it off 156. Why can't he go well off 153? Oh, but he's old because he's been there so many times. No, he's... Yeah, I don't see any reason why he couldn't run another big race in the county hurdle, and it'd be one that just keeps coming back for him. He's a big price at 33s. Last year he went off 14s. The year before he went off 12s. For the Triumph, he went off 7-2. I mean, you're getting a bigger price than he's ever gone off. Significantly a bigger price. He would be a much shorter price come race day. That is Pied Piper. So there's just a few horses that caught my eye looking back through Cheltenham, how they performed during their races at Cheltenham, and what they've done since then that might be aiming them at something back at the Cheltenham Festival.